I work in the management consulting industry. I work for McKinsey and Company. For about 2 years, I was a management consultant myself, so helping in a diversity of projects, and so hopefully being able to contribute. But I'd say actually mostly learn about other sectors and other industries. But now I have an internal role where I support consultants, and where I'm working with the Luanda office of McKinsey. Support them in whatever struggles they might be having in terms of their performance, or maybe an external factor influences their life right now. They just need a hearing ear, and then there's a professional support, ensuring that they go to projects that make sense with, or that are coherent or aligned with the aspirations that they have and the characteristics and capacities that they have. So that they can also then maximize their client impact. And then trying to really build an environment in the office where people feel able to contribute, put their hands up, to take initiative, and that really kind of expresses the values of the firm and what I hope are also, human values that can elevate everyone and then allow them to make their best contributions. I think it comes down to go a bit beyond a mere transactional relationship, or trying to just get work done, to trying to create a bit of a sense of a community. And it's difficult to do it virtual, but something as simple as organizing a dinner where everyone is in their houses, but although it's obviously not the same as everyone being able to be around a table, it creates, some sense of community. And at some time, interesting conversations can also arise or emerge from these moments that go beyond the complaints of work, or, just sharing war stories of work, and go a bit more beyond society or, individual aspirations. So the purpose of the firm of McKinsey is to help create positive, enduring change in the world. One of the ways it tries to do that is creating an unrivaled environment for exceptional people. This is the dimension where, my functions, this is what we are entrusted with, the internal environment, and creating the opportunities for people to flourish so that they can then create the client impact. Interesting values within the firm, the obligation to dissent. Every individual in the firm has the obligation, and many times, when someone wants to share an opinion, says, I'm upholding my obligation to dissent, I think, X, Y, Z. And it creates an opportunity to people to speak up. It creates an environment where people's opinions are valued, which is it's an interesting place because it starts with something we all agree. As a firm, we have the consensus that we value this. And so it starts from a position of consensus to then try to generate, further consensus on whatever topic or whatever point is being discussed. Another is being a non-hierarchical firm and being inclusive. It brings everyone to the same level, in the sense that it doesn't matter if someone is an associate partner, already a partner, we're all human beings, and we all have, interests and passions, and we all have a right, to enjoy the same things and to have a contribution in the firm. It doesn't mean we all are the same, or it doesn't mean we all have the same function, but it means, as a firm, we try to make an effort that everyone feels included and that everyone can somehow participate in the processes of decision-making in the firm. I think the inclusivity has also been I would say, spectacular element to the firm. It really went beyond any of my expectations. The care with which the firm has for everyone to be able to mobilize their own selves or their true selves to the workplace, I think it's really fantastic, and it has actually helped me really to learn about the social dimension of an organization, that it can, beyond being, having that economic function, and being a place of where people come to work, it has this important social space that can help people or influence them when they go then to other spaces. And in my particular case, the firm has helped me reflect with racism and some experiences that I experienced when I was at school and in other spaces in society. And, really provided me the opportunity to have serious conversations with others. And, it ultimately was almost like a healing process, or contributed to a healing process. And as I mentioned, that I never thought I would have progress in the context of a professional organization. Some of the values that I came in with, I guess, are still similar to the ones I still hold. Maximize this as a service opportunity. And that meant that I was going to try to learn the most I could and develop, not only intellectually, but try to release the full potential. The second dimension was trying to contribute to the functioning of other organizations, hopefully make something more sustainable, make something, fairer, make something just work better, to touch in a way the lives of the people around me. So be able to just be a positive influence in the people with whom I interact every day, even if they have nothing to do with the problems I'm trying to solve, but they're simply in my path. And then if my work is a moment of worship, one moment of really contributing, or a moment of almost a sacredness, it has to be excellent. I need to do things to the best of my ability with this purest intent of just making something arrive to its level of perfection, or to the closest that I can bring it. It's something I'm really still trying to learn. One element is trying to just elevate conversations, try to give the bigger context, the understanding that we care about other organizations and we care about what they do to people and we care about those around us because of the inherent, oneness of humanity. We're all just one. And I think the stronger that consciousness is, the more it changes our behavior in ways that I would say are spiritual, that are aligned with, fulfilling our purpose as individuals. There's still challenges as a contemporary firm, in today's society. Religion is not necessarily always an easy topic or easy mention, or even the word spirituality. But I've also been surprised at some of the easiness with which I've been able to share or even learn. There's this idea, sometimes when we're looking at the experience that consultants have in their path and their journey within the firm, there's this idea of looking at the physical, looking at the mental, and also looking at the spiritual. Do they have the time to do what they need to do? Do they meditate, or do they, think about their meaning, or are they satisfied with, the overall context of their purpose? And it's been interesting to also see, quite senior managers talk about their religion. And someone asked, what was the highlight of your week? And he shared about his celebration of Yom Kippur, and how, for him, it was so amazing to see people from all different ages, sharing that moment and celebrating in the same way. And so, although there's still, challenges to align, the spiritual and material dimension, also because of, the societies that we're inserted in, there are pockets of opportunities, and particularly then with specific individuals, it's just something some are more comfortable or open to, and it's also about trying to find those people and have those conversations, and thinking about, how can we understand this, but how can we then share this with others, so that they can expand a bit of their view, and they can then expand ours as well. I think in the different experiences I've had, there's always been some sort of intensity at play. Sometimes maybe just the underlying motive was different, or the underlying type of pressure was different. But I've always felt a great intensity in the workplace, or in the service mode, that I don't think is necessarily a problem. It's, again, also a capacity to develop, to work maybe at such speeds, or to work with, such dedication and love for something, or to work at, like a laser that just focuses on something that, then really has the power to unlock things that rays of light that are shining in every direction don't have the same effect. And so I think something similar has been intensity. And then there's also been just a diversity of kind of the backgrounds of the people with whom I interact. For example, at the Baha'i World Center, I volunteered with people that were from across the world. And then we were able to have certain common denominators or a single framework that guided us and enabled us to interact all in a unified way. And other places, I've clearly been the outsider to a dynamic that is very, homogenous population, where I'm clearly the one with some sort of an exotic background. Also been interesting to be in both environments, and I naturally feel more at ease in places that have people from different cultures and I think ebbf, the first contact was in my first year of university. My initial reaching out was a place of confusion or almost despair, being, studying in the management school and just not really identifying with or making sense of how does this that I'm learning align with, my purpose and what I want to do and the vision I had of the role of business in society. I think throughout the years, my interactions or my contact with ebbf has been varied. A community that has accompanied me throughout the process, where my maturity on these issues and what I wanted to do and the type of answers I was looking for, evolved. And within the ebbf, there's always, a group of people that I could speak with and with whom I could identify. And I think it offered a space of sanity that was required, throughout this process, because one has views about how business should be, but then it's constantly in environments where it's not that way or it's not a shared opinion. One needs to develop resilience and to, the capacity to have hope or patience on those ideas, even if everyone else disagrees. And I think at a stage where one still is trying to mature that hope and that patience, spaces in the ebbf is very important to nurture it and to be able to help, that young seedling or that young tree solidify a bit of its roots and then give its own fruits. I think I was able to move from an idealist, not to a realist, but to a kind of inspired pragmatic. Understand, what are the things I'm working towards? Keep those, close to mind, and in every instance or environment, try to constantly, see how close or how far am I from those ideals, but also not expect a simple, easy walk in the park, not only as a separate experience or as work in of in itself, but then in trying to live these ideas and trying to bring them into life. It's not going to be easy. It's also not impossible. And to try to learn, how do these ideas come to life? What are the small things that matter? Or what are the small things that then build up to be bigger things? What I feel, one element that I feel has mattered throughout is really, one's spirit and if one has these certain ideals about what is the purpose and how one should work, despite the fact one might be completely unconscious and oblivious of it, it affects the way how we speak, it affects the way how we do things, and ends up influencing, other people. This is then the key, the real message about change or the idea of, trying to transform business is that there's no formula to it. It's people trying to move one step closer. So it might not even be in my lifetime that all the ideas that I have of how business should be, I hope to be able to have learned something from those that came before me and those that are still here with me with more experience, and be able to contribute for those that are coming after me. I think one analogy that I find very helpful is really, this one of building a cathedral. These huge buildings that required almost generations of people to work on them, each with a specific task, each with specific struggle. But that if you're conscious of what you're doing and you try to do it to the utmost of your ability, we create these structures that just surpass time and surpass the lives of all those that imagine it in the past, or imagine it originally, construct it, and for future generations to come. I think a business that contributes to building a future society is a business that is intimately connected with other essential entities, in society. The government, there might be NGOs, there might be people who, at the one hand, are customers and consumers, and on the other are also employees, and the communities that surround them. A business's ability to contribute is intimately connected to a business's integration with these other entities. If it tries to be aloof and to just bring something to all these entities, I don't think it will, in the long run, be significant, because even its own success and its own capacity to act is dependent upon all those other entities. This is really what the principle of oneness of humanity tries to express, is that it's not up for any single entity or any single sector or any single unit to make the change, but it's from the interaction, from the dynamic of all those entities and units, that's where change will come from.